time has come to relieve that pain. It will be better for me.
The Pain Clinic Pro Wrestling Talk Show. Can you feel the pain?
Good morning, wrestling fans. Welcome to the Pain Clinic for April 19th. Yes, we made it. It's WrestleMania weekend. Thank you so much for being here. There's a couple holidays today. It's Husband Appreciation Day, which is always good for all you husbands out there, and World Circus Day. We have birthdays today, just a couple. You know, this is WrestleMania weekend, but we got Roxy Laveau, who's 46. You might remember Roxy from TNA. The Gypsy, and NXT UK's Charlie Morgan's 33 today. Hey, interested in roller derby? Want to be a skater, officiate? Roxy Roller Derby needs you. Contact recruitment at rockderbyrecruitment@gmail.com and join Rock City Roller Derby. If you're into the men's team, it's Flower City Fear, FLOUR, Flower City Fear. .com. We're always looking for help. We got games coming up real soon. In fact, Rock City has a game this weekend in Buffalo. It is WrestleMania night. I have my priorities set straight. I'm WrestleMania-ing it instead of going to Buffalo tonight. So, hey, I'm the Cashman, your humble host. I'm joined by Rob Sanderson, formerly known as the Artiste. Rob Sanderson, how are you doing today? There's someplace. He once the mute comes off, I'm guessing. Maybe he's not hearing me just yet. But nevertheless, we're here to talk about the world of WrestleMania and the weekend as well, and all the other news and things that fit in. But tonight is WrestleMania 1. While I'm doing this, I am watching the replay of the Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and all I saw so far, I guess, in the first half hour was Lex Luger inducted last night. Very short, not short, but not a long, drawn out speech. Giving a lot of thanks to a lot of people, including Pastor Steve. I think he mentioned a few times, which you obviously is Steve Borden, aka Sting, who couldn't be there. I don't know why. I'm guessing maybe Sting's under a contract with another company, even though he retired. But the Sting he was talking about Sting as well. DDP introduced him right now. Michelle McCool introduction is going on right now. And lo and behold, it's her husband, The Undertaker, doing it. So that being said, congratulations. I, still question things about it, but, that's just me. Hopefully the Artiste will get back on here in a second. It looked like maybe he had some difficulties. But I do want to tell you what we're going to be talking about today. I've got like a little mini list of topics to go over. Mania, obviously. Death Riders make the news this past week. Who's Randy Orton got tomorrow? Or is that today? Rollins mentioned a former Shield mate last night on SmackDown, the Go Home show. There's rumors of our president being at Mania. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. We have a new debut in AEW this week, and TNA had Unbreakable last night. Rob, are you with me now? I'm wondering if this is working okay now.
I'm kind of here. I can barely hear anything right now, and it looks like my computer might want to restart again here in a second. So we'll see.
If I lose you, just come on back. I don't, hey, welcome. It is WrestleMania weekend. Right. Like, I don't know if you heard me talking in the beginning, probably not, but I'm watching the Hall of Fame now as it's a replay going on. It's on YouTube right now, but that happened at like 10 o'clock last night, which technically SmackDown was still on the air here, at least at 10 o'clock.
No.
No,
It
no,
was
no.
on a 1 a.m.
No,
here
it was
last
one.
night.
Yeah, no, it was 10 o'clock their time, 3 hours difference. So, but yeah, it was one. So it was 1 o'clock here. Man, did these guys sleep at all during WrestleMania week? I'm getting a feeling probably not.
Not the people who had a call time 2 hours ago in Vegas for the NXT show.
Yeah, the
That's for sure.
NXT Stand and Deliver, I believe that is today. And yeah. That besides the fact that there's shows built all the last few days, like every day, going up until today, which be Mania is. And I lost you again, so hopefully you'll be back in a second. It sounds like your machine is rebooting. Good old updates, but I'm going to jump into it while before we get back with Rob and talk a little bit about. Right off the bat, Mania tonight is night one of Mania. We've got 7 matches. Randy Orton is Saturday, by the way. So the big question mark will wait until then, but we will talk about some rumors I've heard during the show. But we've got, 7 matches tonight, and they are for 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 titles on the line, and there's 3 additional matches with the main event being CM Punk with Paul Heyman versus Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. And I was watching the Hall of Fame last night. It looked like Seth Rollins was sitting next to Paul Heyman in the audience. Maybe it was my imagination, but that's tonight. We'll go through and we're going to, when Rob does come back, we'll go through and do our predictions, because I might as well predict, even if we don't really care that much, we will predict what's each of the matches that are going to be on tonight and tomorrow night, just because I can't go through it without giving our predictions. I know Danger's tied up today, and as well as DC coming back from vacation, I believe. So it'll just be myself and the artiste when he comes back, but we will definitely get into what our thoughts are on each of the matches and how it's going to go. And, maybe some thoughts have changed. I don't know about you guys in the chat room. Some thoughts may have changed on how things are going to go. I don't know right now, but there's a few things that I feel a little bit different about after last night. So, but it's interesting that the setup for the pay-per-view, it's 4 o'clock is the pre-show time. So, in fact, noon today is the NXT show, Stand and Deliver, and that will be at noon today, I believe. So when that show ends, it'll be, I'm guessing, about an hour before the pre-show starts, the 4 o'clock pre-show, with the 7 o'clock start for Mania Night 1, as well as Mania Night 2. 7 o'clock start. We got 7 matches tonight. Where's that take us to? I'm guessing maybe 11 o'clock or so, maybe tonight. That's when it will end. But there's maybe some changes on the card today after something that happened last night on last night on SmackDown. If you were watching, it was a lot of last night's SmackDown was a lot of people getting their last words in. This is the last chance I'm going to be able to talk and not being interrupted. So we got to see long promos by Seth Rollins, and we got to see what definitely allowed them to come out and spiel for as long as they want. Cody Rhodes and John Cena had their last chances as well. And they definitely are going to be definitely going to talk about those matches when we get into the predictions and everything. I think I got Rob back. You're all updated now, Rob. Whoa, I even got a picture too. All right. No one wants to see my ugly face here. So handsome Rob Sanderson joins us. It's a wrestling name.
I thought you were going to say Handsome Randy.
No, I
the
would
guy
not.
I feuded with 40 years ago on WrestleVision.
Yeah, remember you hit him with a book in our lunchroom at iHeart.
Try not to think about that. Yeah. I don't know who won that feud, but
an interesting thing, and that people, maybe only local people will get this, but Handsome Randall,
not actually 40 years. That was a joke, people.
Yeah, no.
Just want to throw that out there, but
yeah, you were not an embryo when that happened. So, but I will say that Handsome Randall does a radio show on the same station I do my roller derby show, and he's on at night. He's on after me, so it's like, it's a weird world we are in where, that and, you can hear Handsome Randall playing heavy metal music every Friday night on 106.3 FM. I think it's at midnight or 11. I can't remember. I know they do like 3 hours or 4 hours of it, something like that. But you brought the name up. I had to like throw some facts behind it. But I'm watching the Hall of Fame inductions while we're doing this because, like we said,
I feel like that's the last thing you should have on. You can't hear it.
I don't need to hear it. I the only one I really wanted.
I would only want to. I don't want to just look at somebody standing on stage for 3 hours. A wrestling match you can watch without audio. I don't encourage that as a commentator, but yeah, I don't know. I only saw the Luger induction.
And that's all I saw, really. Right now, Michelle McCool's on stage, and it's like, to me,
don't plan on watching that one, to be honest. So
no, me neither. But the whole thing of the Undertaker introducing her, it's like nepotism is run wild. Nepotism running wild.
Revisionist history,
big time. It's like, I think they're just running short on names to put in the Hall of Fame now. So, and Michelle McCool had her moments. I'll give you that. But man, and it was a short run compared to what I think a Hall of Famer should be, I mean, and
at one point I like flipped over and I saw that they were showing Layla in the crowd. Just like, if you were gonna do an induction, just do Lay Cool together.
Yeah.
But
they mentioned it in the video package when they were going through her history. They're like, hey, and they were groundbreakers in this tag team and everything. And it's like, they just kind of, I'm not probably going to watch any more of it, but I mean, it's like 3+ hours.
Well, I mean, you can see Triple H talking about Vince McMahon. I saw that clip. So
I heard that. Yeah. I heard John Cena's had some quotes this past week too about,
everybody in their company is just flying with colors right now. It's yeah, I don't know. To be honest, this is probably a week that it should be Danger here, not me, because I have very little positive to say about WWE or the people in it right now, and it is WrestleMania weekend. So apologies to all the fans who are excited about WrestleMania. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pretend that I am.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are interesting. I mean, but there's, because WrestleMania is happening in Vegas, it really, a lot of things are going on around it as well. We had TNA pay-per-view last night, I think it was, or 2 nights ago, Unbreakable. It was last night.
Thursday night. Okay.
So the same time
after their regular show. I didn't catch any of it. There's been so much wrestling these last few days already.
I was gonna say there, and then there was there was a lot of things, and there was just a lot of shows going on, and we went through the whole list, I think, last week when we were talking about it and stuff. But there's a lot going, and this technically started on the East Coast at 1 a.m. If it goes 3 hours, that means it ended after 4. And
I know I saw people saying, like I said, I turned it off last night after the Luger induction. I was still awake till, I don't know, 4:30 or 5, but that was more so watching Degrassi. But
okay,
just got to mix in some non-wrestling here a little bit. That's the technique when you get to a crazy week like this. But no, I mean, between AEW Wednesday and Thursday, the collective technically started Wednesday night with the WWID tournament opening round. There were 2 shows that night, and then all day Thursday last night. I mean, all day yesterday, and then Joey Janela's spring break last night started at 10 Eastern, which was a really fun show and a really interesting Sabu final match.
We do have some news, though. That's something that happened at that show as well that we'll get to eventually. But yeah, there's definitely
Butterbean the day before. It's been a week. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on in the wrestling world, one way or another.
And what's his name? Josh Bloodsport there.
Josh Barnett.
Yeah, Josh Barnett's Bloodsport that went on where they had some WWE people involved in it as well.
They had a bunch this time, and then a ton more in the suites.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had Cross actually wrestled, and then he wrestled last night on SmackDown too. So he wrestled like 2 days in a row, one for Josh Barnett, but I guess I heard just there was a whole list of people that were just there in the suites watching and stuff. I mean, obviously, I've seen people were getting into Vegas like Wednesday or Thursday, and so if you follow, like, I don't know, Diamond Dallas Page, he had posted some pictures from working out in the gym when he got in there and bumping into, I mean, apparently the gyms were filled with WWE people everywhere in Vegas. And there's so much going on. And not on top of that, there's 3 nights of Dead and Company playing at the Sphere going on that weekend as well. I don't think that will cross over at all as well, as well. And it almost
Good
enticed
thing
me.
it's a city with a ton of hotel rooms.
Big
So.
time. It's all it's got is hotel rooms and casinos, but yeah, there's I bet you they jacked the prices for that weekend, but there's some good
Is
stuff.
Wayne Newton playing this weekend?
I'm sure Wayne Newton's playing someplace if he's still alive. I don't know. Yeah, he's probably, the place where you get a $12 dinner, which is a real tough steak and maybe an egg on it or something. But yeah, there's a lot.
Give me
going
some of the yellow. Don't be cheap on me. If you don't get that reference, I'm sorry for you. But
let me guess. I've heard it. It's is it National Lampoon's Vegas Vacation? No,
kind of.
kind of.
Technically, it's not a National Lampoon's once they got to Vegas, but yes.
Okay, it was
that
Vegas,
is correct.
but it was the Griswold family, so it was
Sure was.
Yeah.
A movie that is watched by some of us way more than it should be, but now I kind of want to watch it again. So.
I know Rusty got all the cars in the end, man, and everyone had their own like hot rod. He just had the lucky touch there, But yeah,
$1 I got a car, but $1 I got a car. Yep.
and after like a few cars, everyone
I could literally quote that entire movie. So we probably shouldn't. But
so let's
Changing 500 is the best.
I know.
Quote. Anyway.
I know that you said you're the bad person to come on and talk WrestleMania, so I'm
I'm
gonna get it out of the way real quick. We're gonna do our predictions right off the bat.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's stories about, I think, most of these predictions as well. There's like, I mean, we all have theories.
We're predicting who's getting booed as a babyface because seems like they started that last night with some of the clips I saw.
When I was watching right before we went on, I got up to the part where Undertaker was doing the introduction from Michelle McCool, and it was quiet. You could hear crickets. It was like I was wondering why. I mean, maybe they're finally catching up to him. If we're gonna boo Hogan, we might as well boo him too. Or I have but I noticed that they weren't. He didn't really have the crowd in his hands much. Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, yeah, a little bit. But and by the way, if you saw Pat McAfee, was it on Thursday? No, it was yesterday, Friday. They were live with all these WWE stars on there, and they even had a fake Hulk Hogan and a fake Razor Ramon. 2 guys from Pat McAfee's shows were doing impressions of them the whole time, which really runs thin after a few minutes doing either of them, just because they only have.
I thought you were talking about Pat McAfee and his entire shtick.
That does too at time. I've been feeling that recently, so. But so let's real quick go through and we'll just do our predictions, because it's always good to throw our predictions out there before we talk too much. But there are like I said, 7 matches on tonight, April 1st. I'll start from the bottom, move our way up, and we've got War Raiders versus New Day for the WWE Tag Champs. New Day, you might as well reward them for being heels if you're going to reward them for being faces. So I wouldn't have a problem with New Day winning that. Maybe a surprise appearance. There's some surprise people that have been rumored maybe showing up this weekend. I would be truly surprised, but for instance, Randy Orton still has nobody to take on, though he has an open challenge. Anybody from out in the streets of Vegas. But anybody who might be there too that has recently re-signed with them. We got Rey Mysterio and who do you think? Just off the top of your head, Rob, War Raiders or the New Day?
I would assume New Day. If you had asked me before a couple of days ago who were the Raw Tag Team Champions, I wouldn't be able to answer that question. But
me neither, because they don't ever give them
their
any
writers
time.
Can so
yeah, they never give them any time. So, but New Day's got more time as the heel to build their heels up. So it's like, backstage, just being, just contentious with every interview, and
nothing against those 2 tag teams, but if it had to be one or the other, I'd much rather see the SmackDown tag titles defended with. They've got what seems to be a much better division.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. Without a
and
doubt.
with what Street Profits are doing, and I mean, between DIY and the guns and stuff, like it just, I don't know, that for all of them to be left off of Mania when you got 2 nights, I think is stupid. But
Yeah, something happened last night, and I wasn't really paying that close attention on SmackDown, but something did happen last night where the where DIY came out and stole the tag teams and ran in the back, and then they made some match. So there might be some alterations to these matches. I'm guessing there might be a 4-way because they stole the tag belts. So the tag team holders got all bent out of shape and chased them, and everybody else chased them, and it was like City Machine Guns were involved, and also who are the two other guys? Deadly, is that it? So they all kind of got into each other backstage, and I'm not sure if they actually announced a match with them, but I'm guessing that possibly it might be on the pre-show today, just so that they can get on. Much like last night, they had the Andre the Giant Battle Royale on SmackDown last night, which it's funny is they took forever introducing a couple people, and I'm going, oh, this is going to be like 4 hours of introductions before they start. But in reality, everybody else was in the ring already. So they had like Shinsuke Nakamura come out to a very, very slow walk out to the ring. And then they did Carmelo Anthony, and it's like, this is just going to be forever. But then it's like, and the match has started because everyone else is in the ring already, and Carmelo Anthony ended up winning the last night, which is good for me in our fantasy league because he threw a lot of people out and won a match. So, and now he gets to walk around with a big statue. And by the way, did you see the Triple H statue in any of the pictures? The
one of him pointing.
Him just doing the, yeah. It's like the Andre the Giant one, very brass or bronze looking or whatever. And it's like,
Oh, maybe I saw something different.
no, you probably no. It's him doing the, like when he comes out to the ring when he like spits in the air and whatever. But it's boy, he's the boss, I guess. He might as well, do these things for him. But I don't. Most of the other statues were dead people, so I'm not saying anything. But it's like you're stroking the ego. He's going into the Hall of Fame tonight. He had an hour-long interview with people this past week where he told people to shut the F up and just enjoy the show. I don't know if you saw any of the quotes from the interview that he had done this past week, but he did an hour-long one, and it was like he's just like he's like, people are insisting we do changes and stuff. He goes, shut. I don't know. I'm not going to argue.
I avoided a lot of those interviews. Like,
yeah, I only saw the
Nick
highlight.
Khan saying that WWE are underdogs. Just the hilarious, one of the dumbest quotes I've ever seen out of that company.
Yeah, against who? That's the question. Well, that's the thing is they don't see themselves as like in competition with other wrestling companies. They see themselves in competition with entertainment.
They haven't been underdogs since Vince Jr. bought the. I don't know I mean, that's so dumb.
Oh yeah. There's lots of interviews going on. So hold on. Next up, we have Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, and I think Rey got hurt last night in the match he was in. Either that or he was selling it pretty good. I don't know. It had
to be a real injury.
Yeah, because at the end of the match, everybody ran over to the ground where he was laying, and it was like, and then they immediately cut to the announcers. So it was like,
I carried him to the back. I don't know. It's weird because it looked like the only thing that could have injured him was when, assuming that's one of the Creed brothers, maybe, I don't even know. Like, he got yanked out of the ring, like in front of the commentary table, and I don't know if maybe his ankle. It didn't really look like it was an injury, but some kind of fluke thing that, I mean, hopefully for him, it's just some kind of I don't know, a stinger, a tweak, or something that he can work through or whatever. But I mean, he was putting very little weight on it on a couple steps after that. So it might not be worst case scenario, but whether or not he can wrestle tonight, I don't know.
Well, they said he also kind of came out a bit tender and wasn't really in the match very long too. So
yeah,
it may have been something he'd been dealing with for a while. But
and plus I believe like his team won, right? And he wasn't in there to celebrate or anything like that. So
In fact, one of his partners immediately ran out to see how he was on the ground after the match. So it was, and that's why I said they cut to the announcers pretty quick right at that point. So there must have been something that had happened to him during, that hurt it more, or he was just hurting in general. But hopefully we get Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, who happens to have the same kind of tattoo that Gable has too. I'm not saying anything, but someone took some shots of the back of his tights and the back of Gable's tights, and it's like he has the same tattoo. And it's funny, last night they had it covered up when he was in the 3-way match. So yeah, I think well, I don't know. I mean, obviously you're doing this thing with El Grande Americano with all these new luchadors in WWE. You got to probably have him win so that he can build up heat against these other luchadors, because after signing all Penta and Phoenix, I think that I think they're building up a good rivalry for the whole summer with these guys. And I'm going to go with El Grande Americano winning this one. And I don't even know if it's going to be Ray coming out. It'll be a big mystery tonight to see what happens. You have any thoughts on the match? Or, I mean, obviously,
I guess, hurt. I mean, like WrestleMania is always full of a lot of, well, it won't be entirely true this one, but it's always full of a lot of good guy victories. So we'll give it to El Grande Americano as he beats Chad Gable tonight as a replacement.
Then we next up Jay Cargill versus Naomi, and that I don't, Jade's, I think, still is still kind of real new, and I think that they want to get Jade over by Naomi. Naomi, obviously, a very, very good wrestler. Has gotten really good over the years, and now gets to come out and with the Owen Hart or tape, a caution tape on her, part of her get up, her new black uniform or whatever, or tights and whatever. But I think that it's like, and they have I think Bianca Belair kind of siding with Jade now. So that's the feeling I got, because they had like a big scrum last night where they all were fighting each other at some point. I'm not sold on Jade Cargill, so I will take Naomi to win that one, just because I think I don't know. I mean, Jade hasn't really wrestled even much since coming back. Maybe one match. I don't know.
If Jade's the future, I feel like you got to give her the win, but I don't know. I mean, Naomi seems to really be, I saw the clip of her like in that press event or whatever, really healing out extra, and I don't know. I'll go with Jade Cargill.
Okay, you're gonna take Jade. All right. I mean, it is the the question is, do you want to feel good at the end of night 1 or night 2? And I think
I'm not going to feel good after either one. I can predict that right now, but that's not a prediction. That's a spoiler.
It's a spoiler. Thank you, Seth Rollins,
for tonight. And we're not there yet, but hashtag not my main event. But
we're getting there. So next up, LA Knight, champion of the U.S. title holder, versus Jacob Fatu. They haven't had direct conflicts till last night, when Fatu interrupted a one-on-one that turned into a tag match last night. So we've got to see like a little preview of LA Knight and Jacob Fatu. I know people love LA Knight. I know they love him. I'm sorry. I think he's limited in the ring. We haven't really seen the best of Jacob Fatu yet. I'm going to go with a heel winning this one.
You can't. Jacob Fatu is. I mean, it's awesome to see how quickly he's risen the ranks in the last year. Finally, and he's somebody who has more potential to get to, and I think he'll get there. I don't see any reason why you would have Jacob Fatu lose tonight. He's got to win.
Definitely. And he's a monster too. And I mean, they could just be the beginning of a lot of things for him as well.
I'm also not somebody who cares about LA Knight, but I think in, like looking at the card and trying to find some kind of positive thought of like somebody or some match I want to see or whatever, I'm happy that Jacob Fatu is somebody who got a WrestleMania match.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is good to see that.
LA Knight wants to get his stuff in, and that will be his downfall. So next we move up to a match that I've actually lost any interest in since their quote unquote controversial one face off a couple weeks ago, and that's Tiffany Stratton, champion of the women's title holder, versus Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair is getting a lot of bad press. I don't know if I believe any of it. But they say Charlotte Flair is the one who kind of went off script, and they actually edited what they were saying back and forth out of the replays anywhere. So I don't want to see Charlotte Flair win. I don't think she needs to win. Tiffany Stratton, very new. This would be a big win for her. I mean, she's still kind of I have a real blurred line on Tiffany Stratton, because she was with she was a heel until she won the title, and then suddenly people turned around on her. But I don't know how great a wrestler she is. She does high flying things, I don't know. Maybe I should go with Charlotte Flair winning that, just because Charlotte Flair. Yeah, I'm gonna change my mind. I like Tiffany Stratton is kind of like some of the new younger champions in AEW. They're getting their first run, and then you're seeing kind of like their limitations as performers. And Tiffany Stratton, I mean, Tiffany Stratton is a drop dead knockout. Okay, absolutely beautiful. But I like heel champions better, and it's like, and Charlotte Flair, even though, man, she does look different every time she comes back from like an injury. It's like things change on her. I don't know what it is, but I'll go with Charlotte Flair in that one. What do you think?
Not to there's probably a lot of that I don't agree with on my side of things. I feel bad for anybody in AEW being compared to Tiffany Stratton, who I think is super overrated. She's super athletic.
Yeah.
She's confident on the mic, but she just doesn't. There's something missing. I'm not sold on her still. It'll get a ton of heat if Charlotte wins. I am still a Charlotte fan. She's not perfect by any means or whatever, but all of that said, I don't know if you really want Tiffany to be in that top tier. You should have her win. This should be a marquee win for her. So, I don't know. I'm gonna say Charlotte because I'd rather see Charlotte win.
Oh, I agree. I mean, but Tiffany kind of reminds me of Mariah May a little bit,
Oh,
Sorry.
you're killing me.
Sorry.
Oh, I would take Mariah May matches 10 times out of 10 over Tiffany. Oh man.
Yeah, well, I will say, well, I guess that will be a point of contention between us, but we both agree on Charlotte winning this, and maybe, adding some spark to the women's division. That would be I believe Charlotte's a SmackDown champs too, so I think that's a good thing for SmackDown. I think Tiffany, I don't know, was she SmackDown too? I think she was. I can't remember. I know that they allude, or certain titles are on certain shows. Like much like the heavyweight title, or undisputed. Sorry, don't want to get it incorrectly. Because the heavyweight is the next matchup on our
disputed,
list.
Undisputed title.
Yeah, the undisputed title. There's the world heavyweight title, Gunther versus Jey Uso. I liked the Jay has one little botch in the ring, and they kind of play off of it, and then he has to build his confidence back up, and he got it back. And so I would think that Jey Uso would win this because, he won the Royal Rumble and not in the main event. So they got to give him something. So I'm guessing that Jey Uso will beat Gunther, but Gunther is a very good. Gunther could move his way up to like a Cody Rhodes, maybe next if he does drop the title. But he had a solid run with the Intercontinental title 2 years ago. And he is a solid champion, but they've spent way too much time building up Mania. So we haven't really seen him that much in the ring. And like, it's been months, it's like this whole build because Mania is so late in April. It's like the last pay-per-view was in February. So was it February when the
That was early March.
it was okay. So it's still way more than a month, but we have not seen Gunther or Gunther or whatever, So I don't know. I mean, I like heels, but I'm going to go with Jey Uso just because he won the Royal Rumble, and it's got to mean something if it's not the main event of the show. So, any thoughts on that?
I think that I don't know. I'm assuming, as someone a little out of the loop, I'm assuming the crowds are still 100% behind Jey Uso, even though like last night saw some of the like them booing Cody initially and Bianca and stuff. I I think that the right decision would be to keep it on Gunther and actually use him and have him wrestle matches and try to portray him actually as a champion. I would be shocked if Jey Uso does not start Mania with a win tonight. So all the people with all their energy still in match one can do their yeeting and all
Dancing
of that
on tables.
nonsense.
Yeah.
I'm not. I will continue to say the Usos are one of the best tag teams in the history of that company, but I don't see Jey Uso as a singles world champion. I don't. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So
Hey, you have these are predictions. The last main
there's a
event.
bunch of people that we've already talked about that are wrestling tonight that I think would be better choices for that. But
Okay, yeah, without a doubt. There's so we got CM Punk in the main event with Paul Heyman versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. Rollins came out and cut it was I was talking about, I don't know if were you on when I was talking about how SmackDown last night was the last time these guys really got a chance to come out and sell their matches, and Seth Rollins, got a long opening segment on SmackDown where all he did was talk, sit in the middle of the ring and talk.
I saw that.
And no
And then
interruption.
I felt like I wasted my time watching that because it didn't go anywhere. And it felt to me like this is an example of, oh, well, you got 3 hours. So just take your time, do whatever.
That's what I thought too, because it's like, well, obviously you don't want to do anything crazy because then Rey Mysterio gets hurt, I mean, which I think that's their biggest fear is they're going to lose somebody from one. So they didn't have confrontations, except for John Cena and Cody at the end. But he did, while I'm bringing it up, he did mention Dean Ambrose in his promo by name, talking about the Shield and how they all started around the same time. And he's talking about 12 years ago that, this was the, the state of the business right now. And they're saying that the winner of this match will be a leader in for the future of WWE. So I think unfortunate Roman Reigns seems to be left on the outside, not really having. I think he had less build up. It's more with Punk and Seth Rollins building up for this match. So I don't know
What the match should be. That's where the heat really is. That's what I mean. That to me, it should have been a singles match with them, and find something else for Roman. But if Roman's an afterthought, that's fine with me after this week. But yeah, it's like I said, it's not my main event.
Yeah.
I know I made the comment and Sean made the comment. Everything about Dangerous made the comment like that Rollins would end up with Heyman, and I don't know. I mean, hey, does it matter? I don't like.
Well,
there's not. I don't know.
There's no stake. There's no stakes, even though they tried to make some stakes up. There's no stakes on this match.
There's 450 titles in that company, and this is your night one main event.
Yeah,
doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. Well, they definitely are invested in the storyline. This really
you might as well have had somebody just take the title off of Gunther a couple months ago and then turn this into a title match or whatever, and then it would feel like a big deal. But
I'm surprised they didn't do something like that. I mean, but it's kind of like when we get to night two with the women's match. It's like putting it on Io Sky right there, and then So my thoughts on the match are one, I have no idea who's going to win. Two, I think it's going to be Seth Rollins. That's my best guess. Just because he came out last night and cut that long promo, and it was just him, and there was no interruptions, and there was nothing. And it's like, I mean, all these guys have a stake. I was watching Botchamania, and they showed a cut of CM Punk in AEW talking to MJF and him saying, "Yeah, why don't you go to the other company and you can be the main event in the fourth night of one of their big pay-per-views."
Buy one get one free extravaganza. Yep.
I was laughing my head off.
Yep.
Words that come to haunt you.
Hypocritical. CM Punk is everywhere. Yep.
Yeah. I was laughing. It was, it's like famous.
He wants to yell at people in interviews and on the internet about. Yeah. No, well, I won't get into all the political stuff. But,
folks, go watch Botchamania this week. It's really pretty good. That's like, yeah. And he's yelling this at MJF. He goes, "Yeah, go to that other company." It's like, oh. So, it's,
You mean the company that he used to constantly talk about blood money and things that the executives support and all these things that Punk is now quiet about or defending or not wearing his supportive t-shirts and holding up signs and everything, but claiming he didn't sell out on anything. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Somebody did point out to him that he did sign for a lot of money and that's all he's interested in. So, which, is not a surprise, but, nevertheless, I'm rooting for Rollins in this. I would not have a problem if he nor Roman Reigns won it, in a surprise, but I don't think Heyman's going to be by Punk's side after this. I think that, and with that being said, I think that this will also set up the next few months of all these guys or a couple of these guys feuds going on. What do you think?
I mean, Rollins winning is the only outcome that I would be happy with. You could still do some kind of a Heyman turn or twist and not have that be directly causing who wins. It could happen first. There could be a miscue, whatever. There's a lot of different ways you could book that, but just because, like I said, it's the only thing I would be okay with having happen. I'm going to say Seth Rollins. I could easily see other outcomes happening here, and I don't want to. So, okay. Yeah.
Well, you and I agree on that. That's what I think it's going to win too. So let's go a little bit quicker through night two because that's not till tomorrow. But with the first match on night two is Randy Orton versus to be announced, and now and he came out, like I said last night, cut a promo and said, you can't have a WrestleMania, especially my 20th, without me. I'm going to be there and I'm going to challenge anybody. You can be from out in the street can come in. So we know, and recently WWE's re-signed a bunch of, they haven't made it official. They don't have an all elite and post something on, on Twitter or X or whatever, or on Facebook or any of the social medias, but Miro is definitely coming back as well as Malachi Black. So Malachi Black, or Aleister Black, whatever they call him, he actually had a promo last night on SmackDown saying that he would be debuting next SmackDown. So it probably will not be him, maybe, but there's a lot of rumors Miro's coming out. So, or Rusev or whatever you want to call him. I know they know, I mean, everyone in the wrestling world is in Vegas right now, except for us, but not that I would want to go anyways, because you'd be up to your armpits in Martians, everywhere. But that's a Bugs Bunny reference, by the way. I think that, Randy Orton's I think it's going to be Miro or Rusev or whatever. I mean, there's just, we know he's there, and there's just been some rumors. It could be nobody. It could be just someone else. Who knows? Who doesn't have a match at WrestleMania too? Bronson Reed supposedly is almost ready to come back. Could it be him? Maybe. I don't know. Any thoughts on Randy Orton taking on to be announced?
I hope it's Nick Aldis.
Yeah, me too. I was hoping that from the beginning, when they first started it.
I don't know. I don't. The thing, if it's Nick Aldis, then I think it works because it's not a situation where Orton should lose. And this is very similar to, I know you had sent a text the other night that I purposely did not respond to because it was one of those save it for the show things in my mind. I think the Josh Alexander debut was perfect. It was questionable when they announced the bracket in AEW for the wild card to be facing Hangman because Hangman was not going to lose in the first round, but the way they pulled that off with not making you think about Josh Alexander losing afterward because they did the turn and him joining Callis and all that kind of stuff. I think it worked out best for everybody in that. In this circumstance, it's kind of similar where almost anybody you could think of that could come in and challenge Orton in this situation shouldn't lose. They shouldn't show up and lose. Like I wouldn't. I don't think it works for them to bring Rusev back and just have him lose to Orton. And I also don't think Orton in this situation should be losing this weekend either. He can, I guess, but like his 20th Mania and all this kind of stuff, and being presented as a top guy, whatever. The one guy I also could see it happening with, who I guess it could go either way, but I think could lose to Orton, is Sami Zayn. I think there's a connection there with a Kevin Owens thing. And factor in all this, and he doesn't have a match.
Doesn't. You're correct. I know he took a sabbatical for a while, but I know that. I didn't think about that. It could be. Yeah. I mean, Steve Austin's there too. No. Yeah, I think that the thing about Rusev is he and Lana got back together or whatever. He and CJ. And so I mean,
that whole thing's so bizarre.
Yeah. So if say he wins by cheating with her coming out with him, then maybe I could see that happening. But I could see her.
It's tricky though because if it is him showing up, he's going to get a huge pop, and it's going to be tough for him to get heel heat immediately. Not to say that that's impossible, but if you make your big return as a surprise at WrestleMania, you better do something dastardly to try to get some heat.
Oh, yeah,
or it's not going to happen.
So. And usually you don't see returns, unannounced returns. But Randy Orton, obviously Kevin Owens having to undergo neck surgery, forced that to happen. So I mean that could also happen with the Rey Mysterio El Grande Americano too, because I mean if Rey is hurt, to the point where he can't really perform, I mean that may change something tonight too as well. But let's move on to the next match because we could go spend way too much time on this. Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. I don't know. I don't have that much interest in the match, to be honest with you. I like Drew McIntyre. I think Drew McIntyre I think he is a guy who is championship caliber and, doesn't really get to sit on top of the company ever, or a very short time. He did during COVID, and he won, what was it, the title for 5 minutes before CM Punk, made him lose it last year, which was kind of a surprise, I guess, it definitely was. But I think that, I don't know. I don't care. I'm going to go with Drew McIntyre though. I think they really want to push Damian Priest, but, what do you think on that?
I guess that's one of the things where I feel like I'm out of the loop and it's tough to decide because I don't know if they are showing signs of actually doing something with former world champion Damian Priest, or if he's the next one that like, all right, you got the title and never again. But Drew McIntyre should win either way.
And then we got AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. And I mean, obviously AJ has been around forever. I'd love to see him win, but I have a bad feeling Logan Paul's going to win just because Logan Paul, quote unquote, has dedicated himself to be, they have this TV show on, this reality show with the Paul family or whatever. And I haven't watched it and I'm not going to watch it, but in one of the promos, they show him wrestling in a ring outdoors. So I have a feeling that this guy's wrestled well before he ever came to WWE. I didn't really know his history, but it definitely was. It looked like a very backyard type of shot with him, coming off and doing a frog splash on somebody. So I have a feeling that, I mean, he definitely wants to still wrestle. He does. The guy has a lot of his. I mean, he has his own businesses. When we get stuck with that Prime bottle every time we watch Raw or any pay-per-view in general. Actually, it got destroyed, I think, like a week ago in the middle of a match. But I don't know. I'm going to go with Logan Paul just because I don't know if I really care that much. And I love AJ Styles, but man, AJ, that Cross has been working on AJ. I kind of behind this, kind of like every time AJ cuts a promo, Cross comes out and kind of interrupts it, trying to make AJ find the bad side again. So he's trying to like tempt him into being a heel again. And maybe this has something to what happened, something that happens in this match that maybe AJ heals out totally and people like side with Paul. I doubt that just because I don't think anybody likes Logan Paul, but
Logan Paul should never be a babyface.
No, definitely not, especially the way apparently on the coming into the Hall of Fame last night, they were interviewing people on the red carpet and he thought he was getting put into the Hall of Fame. So, or he was acting like he was there to be put in the Hall of Fame. And someone actually mentioned it when they were doing I think Michael Cole or somebody mentioned it, Pat McAfee mentioned it when they were doing the introductions for the event. So, yeah, I'm going to take Logan Paul on that because it's like they seem to be all in on him and AJ Styles. They've talked about his contract running out and maybe, being done in the business, but he's still, from what I see, he's still phenomenal. So, what do you think on that?
This is one where I could see them making a booking decision that I find annoying. So I'm going to speak into existence that AJ Styles wins, because he deserves more. I really wish he could get like a true marquee WrestleMania match one of these years before he's done. This is just not, I mean, athletically, obviously it could be very, very good. I mean, those two guys could steal the show, but I still just, I don't know. I'm not hyped for it. But I'll say Styles because Styles needs to, I don't know. I feel like he always just loses.
He does style, I mean, remember he came back and then was injured immediately after he came back from when he had just come back from injury and they made a big deal about it. And then he got injured again. So it's very weird. He's coming back a second time from an injury that happened as soon as he came back. So I think it definitely, I mean, I root for AJ. I love AJ's one of my favorites. He always has been, I mean, I wish, he was the heart and soul of TNA. And actually he did an interview this week where
it's no wonder.
Oops.
I researched window companies
Sorry
for the last
about
year.
that. I was looking at something. AJ Styles came back. What was I going to say? Oh, he was interviewed this week and he was talking about possibly going to do some stuff with TNA now that they have all these crossovers going on. And I find that interesting because it's like he's like one who I think turned it down not too long ago that they tried to use him. I mean, they wanted to honor him and he wouldn't let him honor him, with like a TNA Hall of Fame. He wanted when he did the Hall of Fame at Bound for Glory. He was one of the ones that they definitely wanted. So,
All that's tricky just because I don't know. Like TNA has been around for 23 years, but like there's been so many different eras and stuff. Like if he had issues with like management when he was leaving there versus a couple years later versus now, whatever, like versus, whenever TNA decides to get another new president in 2 months, and 2 months after that. I don't know. I think, I mean, certainly he, in my mind, is the number one person deserving of the TNA Hall of Fame, but it doesn't have to happen yet.
No, and I mean, Jeff Jarrett's in there. I think JB should be in there as well. He was there for so long. So the next match is Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus Laya Valkyria and Bailey. And I don't know if they It is for the it is for the championship for the WWE Women's Tag Championship. So I'm probably going to go with. I think they're trying to build up a little. They had Laya Valkyria beat Bailey clean about a month and a half ago on TV when they were doing the tournament for the title that she has now. What is it again? The WWE International
The Women's Intercontinental.
Women's
Matches.
Intercontinental. Yeah. So I think to help move that story on, I think that Valkyria and Bailey are going to win that, and then have a falling out. What do you think?
I know nothing about this storyline whatsoever, but blindly picking it, I will say that the champions retain only because I can't stand people in wrestling who already have a title fighting for a different title. And
That's true. That's true.
I don't see the need to have anybody holding two belts when you have 500 people under contract.
Maybe they can lose, which will cause more heat between them too, and they could continue on after.
And then it would be nice to see Bailey take that title. Because I don't know, Bailey, to me, she still deserves more than this match even. But
so then we have two matches in a row with multiplayers in each of the matches. We've got the next matchup, the WWE Intercontinental title with Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Finn Balor versus Dominic Mysterio. Braun Breaker, I'm not even going to go too deep into it. I love Penta, but I don't think they're going to put a belt on him just yet. Braun Breaker, I think, retains, and I think it's also puts cracks between in the foundation between Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio, which could lead to a pretty good feud when they all fall apart. It's funny is the Judgment Day. Everyone kind of their second thought now. Are they even a thing anymore? And but they are. They still It's funny they introduced Rhea Ripley. I think the Raw general manager introduced Rhea Ripley a couple weeks ago and said she was part of the Judgment Day when she hadn't been part of the Judgment Day in, I don't know, this year so far. But of course the announcers, you'll see that on Botchamania too. So, but I'm going to go with Braun Breaker. What do you think about? I mean, it's a 4-way match. It's probably going to get some great Penta stuff in there. But what do you think?
again, don't know a ton of what's going on all this, but I know that how they feel about Braun Breaker, and this is the type of match where it's so easy to get the title off of him without hurting him or having him get pinned or anything like that. So I will go with what would maybe be a pretty decent pop from the crowd for Dominic Mysterio to win the belt. So
Okay.
I feel like a lot of the fans will appreciate it, a lot of the fans will hate it, but I don't know. Dom to me every time I see him in or out of the ring, I'm a little more impressed with him, to be honest. I think he's grown in a lot of ways compared to how I would have been talking about him a couple years ago. I think there's plenty of things you could do with him and that title and the storyline with Balor and everything. I'm just going with Dirty Dom.
Sounds good. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. I would like to see that. I wouldn't have a problem. Next up, 3-way for the WWE Women's World Title. Io Sky is champion versus Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. Kevin Nash came out this week and just said what a waste of space Io Sky is, which I don't know why he's coming out and being critical. I don't even want to read about what he had to say, but Io Sky is one of my favorite women wrestlers in the company. Obviously, Rhea Ripley, it was really weird putting the belt on Io Sky off of Rhea Ripley, then having Bianca Belair win that Elimination Chamber match, and then having Rhea Ripley inserted back in. I wonder if there was like some issues with Rhea Ripley's health where she had to take a couple weeks off or something, and they didn't feel they could build it up efficiently with her having the belt and not being able to come to TV, or I have no idea, but
just feels to me like a way for them to squeeze more people onto a card. Which I mean, we can be critical about that every Mania and every AEW pay-per-view and pre-show of all time. Just trying to squeeze as many people as you can when you don't necessarily need to do that. But I don't know. I mean, to me, like Rhea is still one of the top couple stars in that entire company. So I'm glad that she has a match. I think she has the worst odds of winning this match of the three, though.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go with Bianca. Between the reaction last night and everything with her, I mean, I could see you could really help Io by giving her a marquee Mania win against two former champs like that and stuff. But I'll go with Bianca.
It doesn't seem far. The Bianca is very far from really going heel.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that could be the reason.
I would try to pull that off in the match tomorrow night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's lean into it. You could tell she kind of wanted to lean into it a little bit last night too. So, I, th- I would go that direction.
Yeah, and I think she's probably learning from her husband going heel that you can do a baby face to heel. That is that's a good choice. I probably should change it, but I'm going with Rhea on that one just because she's like seems to be the most favorite person of everybody in the WWE, possibly except for maybe the guy who's in the main event, which is the next match.
Well, and I mean, WrestleMania is all about making the fans happy in a lot of ways. And since depending on they may or may not make fans happy with the next match you're about to talk about, so maybe that's a chance where you further you establish Rhea as one of the top stars period in the women's division and give her another title reign. I don't think it'll happen, but
yeah,
it is one way you can make the fans happy in the mix of maybe not making them happy with some other matches.
So the main event is Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. Cody Rhodes had the champion versus John Cena for the undisputed WWE title.
Correct. It is the main event. Yes, it is the main event of WrestleMania.
It's
yes.
the main event of the two nights. You could be on the main event of night 4 of what would you say? What was the line again?
Buy one, get one free extravaganza.
Yeah, there we go. So
it kind of feels like tonight's the free night and tomorrow's the one that you buy, but yeah.
Something like that. So we get Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, and a lot of build up, a lot of interesting promos leading to them both. John Cena, very confident. I've already said that I felt that John Cena is going to win this, and and I still feel that way. I think John Cena is going to be the champion at the end of this, and I know people aren't going to be happy with it, but this is a year circuit he's on, or a year. So I think that, for those of you who apparently John Cena, even since going heel, still is outselling everybody. Is still, boy, sorry, I'm going to be interrupted for 1 second. I'm watching now them induct this match. The Bret Hart versus Stone Cold from,
Mania 13, one of the best matches, and I love that it gets some love or whatever. I don't know about like having matches be inductions. I still feel weird about that.
They don't have a physical Hall of Fame, but they have this bust with half of Steve Austin's face and half of Bret Hart's face, and it looks like monster movie stuff. It's I don't know who thought that was a great idea, but it's like cut down the middle, and they got one half is Bret Hart and one half Steve Austin. It's like I have posters like that with Steve Austin and The Rock from Houston and down in my basement. I thought that was pretty cool, but this is just grotesque looking. It's almost like they're getting pulled apart because there's a space in between. But it is a great match, though. I'm gonna go back and listen to Bret Hart talk a little bit. Maybe replay. He doesn't remember everything correctly, so I'll see how
I hope he mentions Bill Goldberg.
How many mistakes? I'm sure Bill's there. But John Cena, that's my pick. Yeah, you have any thoughts on this match? Do you think is there a chance we're gonna be happy and Cody's gonna win it? But John Cena, is on, like I said, he's on this 1-year campaign, to say goodbye to everybody.
I mean, obviously have been, will continue to be a fan of Cody Rhodes. And I've probably never in all the years of this show been like, oh, I want John Cena to win at WrestleMania. That's never come out of my mouth. Cena has to win this. There's really no other like that just it's going to be interesting more than anything to see how the crowd goes throughout the match, how they react at the end and stuff. But to me, it just seems like a waste for Cena not to win this. And honestly, like in some aspects, I think Cody's gotten this title reign has gotten a little bit stale. And perfect way to kind of refresh that is for him to go back on the chase and win it back from Cena.
Yeah.
So it has to be Cena winning.
I agree. I agree. And so, but we have no mention of Dwayne the Rock Johnson at all, even though
he has to get involved in it, because if they go, the fact that he hasn't been involved at all since the turn is pathetic. It makes me question how they did it in the first place and everything. And quite honestly, too, I mean, does that mean that Travis Scott has to be involved? He should be, or he shouldn't have been at all in the first place. I mean, he should not have been at all in the first place. But yeah, I mean, if Rock's not involved, it makes absolutely no sense. He has to play a role in it.
yeah, I agree. And
one way or another. Yeah.
so good. We both agree on that. So that's how we think it should end. At the end, Cena holding the title as people are booing, in a giant stadium where if you paid, I don't know, a couple $100, you might have like nosebleed seats. But
I don't even know if you're getting in the building for. I mean, granted, they did drop the tickets by 50% and took away a bunch of tickets by building the tallest, biggest stage they could possibly imagine, so it would cover up empty seats. But I still think, yeah, anybody who bought tickets prior to this week probably was paying more than just a couple $100. So just nuts.
It's interesting. They, in the first like 15 rows of the Hall of Fame, it's all WWE people. I see Kevin Nash in there. Thought I saw Batista in the background. So it's like, it's obviously, they're doing a long speech right now, but I'm going to jump into news and we're going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys sticking with us and our thoughts.
I mean, I'm just going to, like, an hour and 5 minutes into the show, I'm going to say that AEW Dynamite was one of the best Dynamites of all time. And it was going into it, looking at the card, I said, like, on Twitter and stuff, like, this card looks better than either night of Mania is going to be. And I think that fully got proven on Wednesday night. Congratulations to that company on getting the record from Nitro. And to me, that was an amazing show. That was the best wrestling show of the week, and it's going to continue to be. And I have to mention that because that's one positive this week.
We were going to get to it when I talked about the trios win at the end and everything, but it's like, so let me jump into the news real quick. There's a couple WWE things. I did mention Rey Mysterio being injured, and we'll see how that goes. But at Joey Janela's Spring Break 9 last night, Fuego del Sol unmasked. You might remember Fuego del Sol from AEW. Apparently, he had a mask versus career match against Atticus Cogar. Is that his name?
Atticus Cogar, yeah. Yep.
And he came up short, so he took his mask off. He left his boots in the ring, and he revealed his face. And that's kind of interesting. I saw pictures of it, and he's a handsome guy. He didn't need a mask. So, but any thoughts on that, Rob? Did you watch that at all? Because that was like in the middle of the night last night.
Yeah, I watched that whole show last night. I mean, that one's a little tricky for me to give thoughts on, to be quite honest, because I that was something I'm a little bit in the know on some of that kind of stuff. And Fuego has always been just awesome in and out of the ring. First met him when he was doing scrambles at Wrestle Circus back in the day. He is like you kind of alluded to, he's somebody that doesn't really need to wear a mask. And I did not know that he was going to leave the boots in the ring. I have not talked with anybody since that happened. My assumption, purely assumption, do not know this, don't have any inside knowledge. I would assume that this is just a way for him to reset and wrestle without the mask, as opposed to not wrestling at all anymore. But obviously, which I don't know if you need to do the whole leaving the boots thing with all of that, but nice reaction from the crowd, good match. And yeah, I mean, he's somebody that I think honestly, I think he can thrive a lot more without the mask and without the gimmick. So yeah. So I think some people might have seen him wrestle without a mask before as a jobber on Raw. So some people might remember what he looks like from that, or have looked it up or whatever. But yeah, I was happy to see he's been doing. All I'll say, like, he is somebody who has been putting on amazing matches in the last few months. People are getting to see what he can actually do in the ring, And I think this is probably the best decision because a lot of people think of him as just like Sammy's vlog lackey guy with a mask calling for the tornado DDT on Dark or whatever. But like he's somebody who can actually go, and maybe this, a change in character could be a huge benefit to that.
Very cool. Some other news: Jeff Cobb has finished up with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I think we talked a couple weeks ago how they think he signed a developmental contract with WWE.
It's not developmental. I hope it's just a main roster. I've seen some people saying that he would be the one to wrestle Orton, and it's like, if that's the case, he better beat Orton. So I would not. I don't know. There's no way I would bring him in and have him lose to Orton. That's for sure. But it's nice to see him getting or choosing finally to take, or whatever the case is, to see him getting a big time deal over here. He's not the youngest guy anymore. He's been around for a long time, and he's always been so good. So
yeah. I remember there was a wrestling show on WGN that they used to base. It was all done in Vegas, and he was like the champion. He was like the big baby face champion. And it's like, then he did some stuff with AEW and TNA, I believe. So he just never signed a long term. Yeah, he didn't sign a contract. I know that I heard AEW had offered him a contract, and he didn't like the numbers, and plus he still wanted to work Japan. So he's done.
I mean, I can't imagine what's going through the minds of New Japan bosses at this point. The amount of stars they've lost and continue to lose. I mean, it's running dry over there right now.
That's sad, So some other news came out yesterday. Grammy Award-winning rapper and global superstar Cardi B is officially headed to WWE SummerSlam 2025. During a promotional advertisement that aired on SmackDown last night, Cardi B announced she'll be hosting this year's SummerSlam, adding even more star power to WWE's biggest event of the summer. WWE's SummerSlam 2025 will take place across 2 nights, Saturday and Sunday, August 2nd and 3rd, live from the iconic MetLife Stadium, where I saw WrestleMania 29 in East Rutherford, New Jersey. This marks another major stadium show for WWE. They talked about, was it last year? The SummerSlam was in Cleveland, and we knew that they were going to be doing 2 days after last year. But so I don't know if, let's see, power to them. I think that's a big mistake. I think the only thing should be 2 days is WrestleMania, but we will see.
I mean, I miss 1 day WrestleMania, so I agree with you to an even further extreme there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, as long as like I'm not somebody who like regularly listens to Cardi B, but I'd probably rather hear her perform than whatever that stupid Mania song is.
Oh yeah,
I don't even know what. Yeah,
you want Sexy Red out there too?
I don't know if that's the weekend for like the 18th year in a row or what's going on, but like I miss when WrestleMania had like rock themes and stuff.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree. That's so yeah, Cardi B is going to be, I'm guessing Cardi B will be there at the beginning of the show, and then maybe at some point in the second day or something. I don't know. What does a host mean? I think the one WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan was the host, and he or whatever came out, and besides screwing up the name of the dome they were in, that's the only time he showed up on the whole pay-per-view. So
yeah, I don't understand the whole hosting thing. It's weird though also that you're already announcing your host for SummerSlam when Mania right now is happening and it's 2 nights and doesn't have a host announced. And I mean, that's at least at the bare minimum, that's a spot you could give to Chelsea Green, who should have something on this weekend and doesn't.
Yeah,
as of right now, which is just absolutely ridiculous.
Funny, Cardona's been all about that online, and she was on last night's SmackDown, so she did wrestle.
Cardona could come in and lose to Orton.
Yeah, that could happen too. That definitely could happen. I'm sure he's there. I mean, everybody's there. It's the wrestling world. So,
yeah.
So former WWE superstar Bea Priestley, who was known as Blair Davenport, she announced on Twitter that she's opening an OnlyFans account. I don't know what that means. OnlyFans to me means usually that's what got what's her name fired from NXT. So having an OnlyFans.
Well, it wasn't an OnlyFans. It was well, I guess she could probably. She started like her Mandy Rose had like her
Mandy
own,
Rose, yeah, man, whatever,
her own separate one or whatever that was pushing the lines more than some of the other ones, we'll say, from what I've heard.
Yeah, so this is Blair Davenport, who we assume was going to show up someplace else after being cut by WWE, but has not. So, but she, well,
Yeah, I don't know if she's got a 90-day or not. She's always been a good wrestler. I don't know. I assume that there would not be an issue with her and her ex Will Ospreay being in the same company. I feel like they're on good terms from what I heard, but I might be wrong on that. But yeah, hopefully she pops up somewhere else. Same Tegan Knox has got to be popping up somewhere else soon too. Hopefully, please.
definitely. Last night I mentioned earlier the Andre the Giant Battle Royale took place, and it came down to two people, Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. And Carmelo Hayes ditched Andrade for the victory, so he gets to be the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royale winner for this year. What
a big return to WWE this has been for Andrade.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Well, got divorced. His wife isn't. Ex-wife is now in the championship caliber, going for a belt, and tonight. So, yeah,
they both SmackDown too.
Yeah, he's Carmelo's SmackDown, so Andrade definitely is SmackDown.
That's awkward.
Yeah, I don't know where we'll go with that. This past week, AEW, they're not going to be holding a pay-per-view in June, but the company president Tony Khan is making sure that fans won't be short on in-ring excitement following the announcement of a special 4-hour Fyter Fest edition of Dynamite and Collision. Earlier this month, I mentioned that AEW now revealed plans for another supersized broadcast in June. AEW Summer Blockbuster will run 4 hours, and that'll be set to air on Wednesday, June 11th from Portland, Oregon.
Are we certain that at least the Fyter Fest one is not like one event that's 4 hours that's broken up into two TV shows of 2 hours each?
Sure. I'm not sure, but they said that we're not going to get any collisions from May 24th through June 21st. So there for some reason every Saturday between those, we're not going to get a collision that week.
Playoffs.
Is it playoffs?
It's gotta be playoffs. Yeah.
Playoffs. Okay.
I don't know the NBA playoff broadcast TV schedule and regular times and dates as to which channel and all that. I know a lot of this first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, which it's so weird to me that the Stanley Cup playoffs and WrestleMania are happening at the same time tonight. That the timing is just crazy to me. But I know a bunch of the first round in the NHL is TBS instead of TNT, which is a little surprising to me. But because I don't know if next week does Collision air normally.
I'm not.
I think it's just TBS games like all day next week for hockey, but I don't know.
And this is like their last year, right, of hockey, TBS and TNT, and
I don't think so.
Oh, it's not? Okay, I thought
because that was them and ESPN had signed a couple years ago, and then somehow the Turner side of things ended up doing such better broadcasts with hockey that they don't have any experience with compared to ESPN. That anyway. That's a different conversation.
Yeah. I think I'm not sure, but nevertheless, you're going to get 4 hours on June 11th in Portland, and also they said that they also announced the Mexico City arena for the Grand Slam Mexico, which is going to be following the Double or Nothing pay-per-view. It'll be Saturday, July 12th. So, or that the pay-per-view Saturday.
That's all in.
Okay, that's all in.
Grand Slam Mexico, I think, would that be the 18th of June then? Like the week after Portland?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's crazy. They're going to be doing a couple long shows basically in the next few months. And like I said, they're not going to have any Collision from May 24th to June 21st. So you have their Saturday nights free. And the AEW Grand Slam Mexico, Wednesday, June 18th. It's going to be held with the CMLL promotion at the legendary Arena Mexico. That's coming up. So and they also kudos to AEW. They broke a record, the longest running pro wrestling program in the history of Turner Sports this past week, passing WCW Nitro with AEW Dynamite. So I guess and even Eric Bischoff kind of tipped the hat to them, saying that they lasted this far, and kudos to him, because Even Nitro didn't last that long, Nitro was, obviously less than 8 years, which is surprising because it seemed like it went a lot longer than that. But that's just me.
Yeah,
But
I mean, a lot of it is apples and oranges. And I didn't watch the clip of Bischoff talking because I just stopped doing that with his podcast a while back. But nice to see him
have something
react
positive.
in the way like I read a good amount of the quote or whatever, and it just, I mean, that's not exactly what I expected from him. So good to see, because I mean that's the tough part in all of this is like Bischoff has become just unbearable to me in the last couple of years. Just jumping on the same train as Cornette and sometimes Nash and Stevie Richards and all of these people that are just like, how can we be relevant? Let's just hate on AEW, whatever. Like, and I think that that was frustrating for me because I always found Bischoff to actually be a really cool guy and like a really nice, like, still stayed interested in stuff. I mean, he was tweeting and watching like I said, like the Wrestle Circus pay-per-views back in the day and stuff. Like he was somebody who got out of the business for a while, but then like he'd pop up, he'd do an indie show, and he like would be super friendly to everybody and all this stuff. And then I don't know what's happened these last couple of years with him or whatever. So I didn't really expect that, but props to him for going that route with it. Like I said, I mean, it's a nice record for them to have. It is weird to think about. It doesn't feel like it's been as long as Nitro was, but props to AEW for that. They're obviously not going away anytime soon on that, but I mean, obviously you can make all sorts of comparisons as to like, well, AEW's never hit these numbers, but these days ratings aren't anywhere close for any company to what they were, blah blah blah, whatever. But it's still a big deal. It's hard to believe it's been 6 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, and it just shows you how short a time that WCW was. Even though WCW had Turner still technically with TBS when they did Georgia Championship Wrestling and NWA Wrestling and stuff, they did that for years, but not since this big since the Turner Sports were branded. So kudos to them, and also kudos to the new trios champions. This past week we saw Samoa Joe choke out John Moxley. John Moxley may have not lost at a pay-per-view, but he loses on TV, and he lost and especially after they took out Taz's son before the show or whatever, beating him up and taking him out. So it was basically a 2-on-3. But then with like all the interference with Swerve Strickland and Willow Nightingale coming out to help, it was
Hobbs came out and wrestled the full match with them.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, but they did take they tried to take him out. They tried to make him shorthanded. I bet that's and yeah. But
I don't know what the deal is with Hook. I feel like there's something legit going on in all of that. Like when they first mentioned it, it almost seemed like it was some kind of storyline thing. And I don't know. It did feel to me like Taz was really missing from a marquee episode like that. I mean, there's a lot of people who said that was the best Dynamite ever. And I feel like that, I don't know if that's the case in my mind. I'd have to really think about it, but it's certainly a contender. That might be true.
Yeah.
I was really looking forward to that episode. I was not really looking forward to that main event. And it delivered. It was awesome. The post match, it really brought back that like original time feeling in a lot of ways of AEW. But props to that crowd was awesome.
Yeah.
And that venue was perfect. They were great again the next night too. It felt like a really quick turnaround to be watching another 2-hour program the following night. But I wouldn't want to see that normally be the case, but I feel like everybody just knocked it out of the park this week. Obviously the Osprey Takeshita match, as expected, was amazing. I have to say though that like I expected Mercedes and Athena to be good, and I've been somebody who's recently been like Mercedes is doing better work than people are giving her credit for. Both nights this week, Mercedes was also knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, doing a tag team on the second night there.
The stuff she's doing with Harley is gold, and As much as we would praise Harley for all of that, which is so deserved, she is doing amazing work. Um, Mercedes has a big role in that at this point too. I mean, even just the little lines like, uh, "That's right, Mini Money. Why am I talking to a puppet?" Like stuff like she's adding some comedy that's working. It helped for sure that it was the Boston crowd this week to kind of help further and stuff. But I feel like some people might be finally like turning a corner on her and seeing that she does bring value to the company where they didn't really put her in the best position when she first came in to do that.
I
It
like
was
that. I
just
like that they're teasing Tony Storm too with her, because Tony Storm being out there, doing on the commentary while the match was going on.
her commentary is absurd.
Yeah, well,
It's
she must
and
just.
then kissing Shivani and stuff like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
what
yeah,
in the
yeah.
world is going on?
Yeah, but Tony and Shivani looked like he was like, whoa, stunned for a second there. He was like, the thing that kills me is she must say like some of those things on the fly when they're doing the promos, because that thing about
Oh yeah.
her new tag team. I'm not going to repeat what she said, but it was pretty funny. It was she's great, and it's like, but I think she's scouting. I think it's about time that Mercedes made it up for the women's heavyweight championship, or at least to get in line or like to get in and get some matches in against the champion, because you know the belt collector and all those ones are great, but TBS is not the women's heavyweight champion, so it's about
Yeah, and I mean, it's certainly there's going to be a desire for another Mercedes Athena match, which I think I'm fine if they wait a little bit, don't rush through that, but definitely want to see that match again more than once. I I it's I have to give credit to the booking of this because everybody has been talking for a while, like how much they want to see Mercedes and Athena, and people thinking like, oh, that's going to be like maybe the main event of All In Texas and everything. I think this was perfect in terms of you did it in Boston. The crowd was super hot. Opened the show with that. The match, I mean, there were a couple little flubs, but for the most part, that was an incredible match. The way that they were able to book that to have those two wrestle each other right now without the titles being on the line either way is perfect because neither one of them needed to lose the title in that match specifically. So I think that was a really good way to do it. I'm kind of almost surprised that it didn't work out. Well, if they didn't have the shows in Boston this week, I feel like they could have rearranged that and made that the finals of the tournament, but it made sense to do it this way to put it on that show. And that was, in my mind, that's the biggest thing that actually sticks out from that show is the Osprey Takeshita match might have been a tad better, but to me, like that was what made those shows so special. And like just did so much for multiple people and their characters and storylines and everything. So big fan of that match.
Yeah,
I already went back and watched it again.
I was gonna say it was a good week for wrestling, and it was a good week to they took the belts off of, like I said, the trios champion. So
Yeah, that one part, like I expected a title change in that, and honestly was gonna expect that to be a title change even if there hadn't been an issue with like Pac or Hook. But it's just weird to think about like how are we having Moxley be the one that loses the I mean, hopefully they go somewhere with this storyline wise because it wasn't that long ago that Christopher Daniels was telling the Bullet Club that they couldn't have somebody substitute for an injured Jay White.
you're correct.
And
Yeah.
but now we can do that. What?
Yeah.
Like what changed? Because they were pretty firm on that. And obviously there was backlash on that whole situation before. As there should, I don't know. It's a weird.
As soon as we heard
Moxley does not go down as a former trios champion, then, right?
I don't know.
Like I don't know how the record books work with that and interim champions and stuff. Like it's always so weird and to figure that out. But
there is no like Freebird rule for trios, because it would have to be four. I don't know. I mean, that does open up a can of worms if he was actually technically a member of that team every time they won, then he probably has a lot of title defenses on top of his heavyweight championship title defense continuously, which hopefully that's the way that this match ended with Swerve coming out and kind of like, because remember, Swerve got turned on by, or the Young Bucks came out and took out Swerve for Moxley at the last pay-per-view. Dynasty, was it Dynasty? No, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if you watch Botchamania, you'll see where Tony completely forgets to show the name. He's like, and Taz is like, he goes, "It's dynamite, it's dynamite." He's hanging under his breath to him, and he keeps. But nevertheless, yeah. So it's like it's building up a lot. I would like maybe we're still going to get a chance to see Swerve take that belt from Moxley eventually because of now he got a little bit of justice for what happened to him. Willow Nightingale coming out as well, and Marina Shafir and the Bucks involved. It was it was like a pay-per-view type show. They always seem to put on these great shows the week of WrestleMania because they want, give people a chance to see what we can do, like with like some of our best wrestlers, and they always come out and are great the weeks of those shows. So, and I think that give them a lot. And then we didn't even barely mention. You mentioned it earlier, but Josh Alexander being the walking weapon, making his debut, former TNA world champion as the wild card competitor. Now you said because of his talk with Don Callis after the match that you can accept the way him losing his first match back. I was
putting him right into a tag match as a heel the very next night. I think it was a perfect way to just forget about losing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but I still was a little disappointed to have him debut and then lose, to Hangman.
Yeah, I mean, I
don't
wouldn't
get me wrong.
Yeah. I would have put the wild card in a tournament like that against somebody who can lose. As soon as we saw it was Hangman against wild card, it was like, what? Why are you doing this to the wild card, whoever it ends up being? Which I think a lot of us expected it would be Josh Alexander, but I feel like they figured out a way to make that work.
Yeah, no, I agree because he left Hangman Lang after aligning with the Don Callis family. So, and that's good.
And I think it's good. I mean, Callis now, especially after Thursday, I mean, he's got a monster stable now, adding in Roppongi Vice to that and stuff. So I think Josh Alexander is a good fit for that. I think him being with Callis is a perfect fit in a lot of ways. Josh Alexander is terrific in the ring. I don't really need him to be cutting his own promos and stuff like that. I think it's fine for him to be a heel. I like the decision and all of that.
I'm glad he's there too. I'm glad that I knew he had outgrown TNA, in this last run because he kind of took a break and then he came back for another year, but he definitely outgrew it. But somebody
posted a clip of Brandy Rhodes back in the day telling Ethan Page that he was only brought in so that they could get to Josh Alexander. I had forgotten about that clip, but
interesting.
That is interesting where we're at now these days. So
very interesting, and he's there, and the Rhodes are completely not. So, yeah, very interesting. So, Mike Champion's asking, who do we think the wild card at Mania is? Mike, you gotta join us back when we started at 10:00 when we all
stick with Sami Zayn.
Zayn. I'm gonna say
I want it to be Nick Aldis, but I don't know.
I like Nick Aldis, but I think it's gonna be Miro.
I say Sami.
I think it'll be a Rusev or Miro. They're down there. Who knows? Who knows what it'll be? It could be so many different people. But we talked a lot about it earlier on the show. But so some other news: New Japan Pro Wrestling. We talked a little bit about someone leaving them for coming to WWE, but also Tetsuya and Naito and Bushi both have left or both have been released, or I don't know if their contracts ran out or they're done, but there was rumors swirling around that they were no longer under contract in New Japan, and now they are free agents. Naito is 42 years old, so it's like I don't know. We've seen them all in AEW, pardon me, in the last few years coming in from New Japan with they're not going to be able to have that pay-per-view, when worlds collide. When worlds collide, because they're all going to be over here now already. But
I don't know. I don't really know where Naito goes after this. I feel like he's somebody that has really been kind of showing his age as of late. He just didn't seem like the same. I don't know. He didn't seem like the same wrestler like when he was the the champ in New Japan last year. Yeah, because he beat Moxley and then lost it to Zack Sabre Jr. But it wasn't like wasn't an impressive title reign. And the I don't know. I just don't think I can't see him coming over on a full-time deal to AEW or WWE. I just don't see how it would fit in. I could see him coming over and making an appearance or building up to a big match or something like that. But I don't know. I feel like him wrapping up might be more likely. But
Well, he's young still. I mean, he can still do it. So we'll see what happens. But okay, maybe he can't do it.
I don't think he can compared to the Naito 10 years ago is long gone in my mind, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. It's just crazy to think of everybody that New Japan has lost and is losing right now and stuff. I didn't even think about that in terms of Forbidden Door in London in August. Who's left?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's like they're all over here in the United States, and most of them work for AEW. So
well, and it's like we were in a long period of time where New Japan was obviously thriving before right before AEW in those years when you had Omega and Styles and all of these things going on. And I bet right now, like wrestling fans who are listening to this right now, like, can you name who the New Japan IWGP World Heavyweight Champion is? I bet 95+%. I bet 99% couldn't. That's how much they've dropped off.
It's a shame, yeah. And it's
Hiroki Goto, by the way, is the answer after he took it from Zack Sabre Jr. And
caller 12,
even I had to think about that for a minute. So
caller 12-1. So
yeah.
We got a WWE pay-per-view gift certificate for you. It'll be in the mail, folks.
Time Warner Cable.
There we go. I found a couple in one of my bags. It's like, ooh, we never gave these away. All right. I was going to go through and do the NXT Stand and Deliver pay-per-view because that starts in about 25 minutes. It's on Peacock, I believe, and it's at the T-Mobile Arena.
An hour and 25 minutes?
I thought it started at 1 or noon. I can't remember. Oh, well,
the graphic they put out yesterday said it started at 1 p.m. Eastern / 10 a.m. Eastern. And I was like,
the pre-show is at noon, so it starts at noon. So the pre-show, we're doing the pre-show to the pre-show. I got one more piece of news and we're going to get out of here. This last piece of news is Mariah May's current contract situation is drawing a lot of attention across the wrestling industry, with many people expecting the rising star to secure a major payday once her deal expires. As May entered the final stretch of her AEW contract, there's widespread belief that she'll have opportunities virtually anywhere she wants to go. AEW is said to be very interested in keeping May on board, although she hasn't been spotted at any company events since the AEW Revolution pay-per-view earlier this year. Her absence has only fueled speculation about her future plans. Mariah May, she's going to be a free agent soon. Where she goes, I don't know. If it's a AEW has a really deep women's division. It really does. If you think about it, it's definitely deeper than other places, that's for sure. And do they need Mariah May? She got, I hate the way she was written off as soon as she lost the belt. I mean, but that's intentional because when your contract's running out, you can't boast somebody if they're not going to re-sign with you. You can't put them on TV every week and then have them walk out when their contract goes down. So you got to put them, you got to say, stay home for a month or two and we'll, I don't know what this means. I mean, what do you think about, Mariah May is obviously worth coming back. That's for sure. The question is, there's people who have dreams of being a wrestler when they're little kids. And a lot of times it's WWE where they want to go get a chance, at least take a shot there and see if they could get an opportunity. Do you think that's what she wants to do, or is she going to stick? She's going to get a big payday with Tony and to stay?
It could be multiple of those answers. I think that she is somebody she's done great work. I think it's probably best right now that they've held her off of TV after losing because there wasn't, I don't think there's anything else to really push her into immediately. And it's okay. This is a good time to give her a little bit of a break. And then when she comes back, it'll be a big deal. And I don't think her current run with AEW is done. I fully expect her and Mina Shirakawa to have a big storyline. Once Mina like officially full-ish time debuts. I think WWE is 100% interested, as they should be. I totally agree with the dream of going to WWE. I mean, especially for all these generations of wrestlers. Like, I mean, AEW wasn't a thing when they were kids. That totally makes sense to me. I think Mariah May will come back to TV within the next month. I think she'll have a pretty good run as her contract is coming up. I don't know whether she will re-sign there or go to WWE. But I think that in the future, um, if it's not this, I do think she'll end up in WWE at some point. Whether she goes there, comes back, whether she doesn't go there for another year or two, at some point she'll end up there. And I mean, I think she could thrive there as well.
Excellent. So I guess we'll find out sooner than later, I guess, eventually. But
I'd prefer to see her stay where she's at. I think she can have those kind of matches better and not get lost in the shuffle as much if she stayed, but I don't blame her at all if she goes over there, even if it's for a little bit or something. I would just hope that it would be something where they use her properly and don't just stick her on NXT. They just, I don't know. Nick Khan wants to say they don't sign people and park them and whatever and stuff, but there's a lot of people that don't have anything going on this week in that company. So
it's true. It's true. That being said, that's the last piece of news on the show that we're going to go through. I definitely wanted to bring that up. Right now, Triple H is being inducted, and I'm rewatching the Hall of Fame while we're doing this. And he kissed Shawn Michaels on the mouth as after Shawn Michaels was done with the introduction. I thought that was interesting because, but it's like they're showing Triple H's family, and it looks like his daughters have all grown up because
the picture I saw, the one sitting next to Steph looks just like Steph.
She's probably like a foot taller than her or something. I don't know. She definitely looks taller than her. So yeah, she looks exactly like her. So
and Miss A1 herself was there all clapping and stuff for the Vince comments stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that induction, and that's weird because I was a big Triple H fan back in the day. I was a big original DX, not PG DX fan. But I was a big fan of the McMahon Helmsley era when everybody hated them so much then. But I just don't know if I can. I've already seen the clip of him talking about Vince, and that everybody's like, oh, he had to do it. No, you don't. Like, you really, like, a Hall of Fame speech, like, especially when it's not your only Hall of Fame speech and stuff, like, you could go a little bit more vague and broad with, like, thanks to my family and my wife and stuff or whatever. Like, he really didn't have to go into. I understand, like, Vince played a big role in his career and where he's at. Like, the things he said was not wrong, but to me, it's super
too soon.
It's not well timed, especially with this week, the amount of just dumb things coming out of the mouths of people in that company and stuff, the amount that they're talking about AEW, the amount of, like, stuff going on politically and hypocritical punk and all this. Like, there's just so much going on. Like, Roman Reigns is gonna have a little more booze than normal. I just they're really leaning heavy. I'm assuming, I know you mentioned it real quickly at the beginning of the show. I'm assuming that a certain 6'3" golfing champion every weekend guy, what do they say, like 175 pounds or whatever? Yeah. I don't think he's going to show up at WrestleMania because I feel like there would have to be I mean, maybe they already have a really crazy security plan in place, but that's not something where normally, like, he's not somebody that just shows up without there being a plan for that. So,
well, he'd be sitting next to A1, don't you think? Even though he's like trying to eliminate her position in our government. But that being said, I don't care if he does. I know he shows up at UFC.
If he shows up, I'm immediately turning Mania off. Because honestly, like, I mean, I hate to say it, I don't want to be negative about this stuff. I hope people enjoy Mania this weekend. There are people I'm happy about seeing matches. Literally never cared less about a WrestleMania in all of these years. I think that this buildup has not been good. There's a lot of talent there and a lot that just could have been done differently. Triple H gets a ton of credit as this like amazing booker and stuff, and I don't see it. I think part of it had to do with the timing of waiting this long for Mania to actually happen. You know, we're up to April 19th. I mean, there were plenty of Manias that took place more than a month earlier in the calendar year than this. And so it's tricky to kind of pull that off or whatever. But yeah, I guess I'm just saying I already don't care about Mania, but if that idiot shows up, I'm officially not watching the rest of Mania at that point.
Yeah,
Guaranteed.
it's just a rumor. It's not going to happen. I don't think.
I don't think it'll happen.
No, I definitely don't think so. I mean, unless Dana White's there too. But remember, this is TKO that owns them. So, and TKO, you know, he came to their UFC event, the last one they had there in Vegas. So, I don't care. I
could see him being there, but
it's not a selling point. That's for sure for me. So, definitely. I mean, if anything, yeah, I'd be detested by it.
Roman Reigns will be happy. So.
Oh yeah, those guys. That's the thing too about this past week is the people that have like said something about Vince McMahon all had personal relationships with him, not like not like the people who are suing him, you know, and you know they can see around his wrongdoing, which is surprising for their political spectrum that they believe in, that they could actually apologize, but it doesn't actually makes lots of sense because obviously America forgave January 6th. So I'm not going to get into politics too much.
There's basically like, it's a situation where this whole like conversation comes up of separating the art from the artist. And in my opinion, on a lot of these types of things, it is okay to say, Vince McMahon did a ton for professional wrestling. It's okay to say that Chris B had a lot of really good professional wrestling matches. That being said, it's okay to not talk about these people because of the horrible things that they've done. That doesn't mean that those of us that feel that way are then pretending that like, oh, Vince did nothing for wrestling, or oh, Chris B wasn't a great professional wrestler. He was, but I'm not going to talk about him because he destroyed his legacy. Like, Vince McMahon destroyed his legacy. I couldn't care less about his legacy at this point. He did that to himself. He deserves everything coming to him. And yes, all of that said, he still did a ton for wrestling. It's not, we just don't have to, we don't need to talk about, we don't need Triple H on the verge of like crying on stage, talking of all this, like, oh, Vince did everything for me and he's my kid's grandfather and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, we know, but you don't have to talk about it. Like,
his handprints
are over past it. Like, be a smart business executive and don't go in that way where you're, like all these other wrestlers and stuff this week that are alienating fans and stuff by deciding to talk about things. Like, we know some of you have views that a lot of other people don't agree with, and vice versa. That's the way the world works. But when you lean into them and do stuff like that, especially in your biggest week of the year, to me, it's just not smart business.
Oh no, I agree 100%. And I was going to say, it's like you can't watch wrestling anywhere in the world without thinking Vince McMahon had some sort of hand in making the formatics of how the business runs and how things are done, creative on the creative side of the business. Yes, I every time I turn on the show, I can't help but think that this is something that, you're never going to get away from in this business, is things that he had done, so you give him credit to that.
I will say right now that I think, and not everybody would agree with this, and that's totally okay. In my opinion, he did more for the professional wrestling business than anybody else in history. Yep. But then he went and ruined his legacy. So,
yep. And it's happened. It'll happen again.
More than one thing can be true at once.
It's true. It's true. So on that note, we're going to get out of here. Sorry we ended, but that's, that's unfortunately, that's something that's been coming through this past week, is a lot of a lot of people talking, and you know, when you get too many interviews, man, it's like they go into places that they shouldn't, and that's what happened, man. So we're gonna get out of here. Thank you so much, everybody in the chat room. Thank you, Mike, champion there, for routing it up a bit, and thank you for everybody who like hung around with us for this whole preview. Let's, you know, try to enjoy Mania. I mean, like I said last week, I don't think that it was a great build up, you know, but there's a couple things that I think that I'm interested in seeing what happens. So on that note,
And if you're not interested in all of it, or you don't, it's not filling your needs enough, there's a lot of other wrestling still going on. And Triller TV Plus has a free 1-week trial that you can watch everything from the collective, including the big cluster F tonight after WrestleMania. If WrestleMania wasn't enough for you, after Stand and Deliver, after Effie's Big Gay Brunch this afternoon, after everything else, you can watch even more wrestling at 11 o'clock tonight, 10 o'clock tonight. Yeah, so much wrestling.
people will be ODing on it. So thank you guys.
ESW Medina a week from today too.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, we definitely got to hit that stuff. But we got to get out of here. We're almost gone. Wait till like we got 10 minutes before the pre-show starts for Stand and Deliver. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, everybody who's in the chat room and enjoying this. And you know, have a good Mania. If you guys, if this is what you, you know, if you're excited about it, good. Be excited about it. There's some stuff that's worth watching this weekend. And if not, you know, like Rob said, there's about 100 other things going on. So we'll see you same bat time, same bat channel.